Yeah, everything you heard about it's right. It's pretty damn good. Hey guys, just me today, just me trying to get this over with for the sake of, not get over with, but just get it done for the sake of not falling behind again. This has kind of been a chaotic week. It's not been that chaotic, I just haven't really feeling myself lately, but anyway, I digress. So, finally got around to seeing 1917, which finally, got to my town, last week. So finally got to go see what all the hubbub was about, because a lot of people have been raving about this movie since it came out back last month. And it's also, this is technically will be the last episode of Season 7 before we transition into Season 8 of the MTCN review team with some really shitty January movie. But anyway, yeah, 1917 is a pretty plot-wise and writing-wise, it's a pretty straightforward movie. Everything else, when it comes down to the mechanics of it, the choreography, the camera work, the music, the lighting, pretty much everything else outside of the writing and story are really marvelous. And you can definitely see why it's gotten a lot of attention because of that. This is basically like Birdman meets Dunkirk is the best way I can describe it. You can definitely tell it borrows a lot of elements from Dunkirk, from like the lighting, the pacing, the music, and the relatively small amount of dialogue throughout the entire film. Basically, the conceit of the movie is about these two soldiers who are assigned to work their way through basically endless war zones to get to another battalion who is about to launch an attack the following morning that is a massive trap, and if they go, they're going to lose everyone that goes into the attack. So basically their conceit is they need to get over to the other side and deliver a message, say stop the attack, or everyone's going to die, including one of the main character's brothers. I'm not giving anything away, it's in the trailer. I don't really know if I have a whole lot to say about this, so it's going to be a relatively short review. But it's all done through, it's done like Birdman. It's meant to be like a one-take film, in that at least it pretends to be a one-take film. And not very much the same way as Birdman did. I don't mean to make that sound like it's a knock on its account, because doing any amount of tracking shots for any length of time takes a lot of coordination, a lot of hard work. So the fact that they're able to do as many of these tracking shots for as long as they do, it's really goddamn impressive. And makes you just wonder how big these fucking sets are. There are cuts, of course there are cuts. They have to be cuts for this kind of thing to work. But they're hidden pretty well for the most part. Whenever you see a movie like this with a lot of tracking shots, you do end up playing that game of, okay, spot the cut. So I will admit I was looking for that a little bit. But they disguise it pretty well. For the most part, like, they'll hide it, like, whenever, like, the scene goes black, when they're going through a dark tunnel, like, okay, they cut there. When they're, like, around rocks and stuff like that, they use some CGI trickery to kind of hide the transitions a bit, but it all works pretty well. For the most part, it's pretty seamless. And it does definitely add to the atmosphere. The atmosphere is unbelievably good. Again, it feels a lot like Dunkirk in that same way, that there's just a rising tension and you just don't know when things are going to go to shit. But you know they're going to eventually. And it does make you feel like you are in the trenches with these two characters, and it does make you feel like you are a passenger along these characters' journey. Sorry, I completely lost my train of thought. Like I said, my mind is not 100% there right now. I don't know what's going on. But I digress. So, yeah, because I'm trying to think of, like, without going too deep into spoilers, because I think it's a movie you definitely should check out. I don't think it's my favorite of the year, because I know a lot of people like saying, like, oh, this is the best movie of 2019. It's not my favorite. I didn't connect with the characters as much as I wanted to in this film compared to other movies I've seen this year. But then again, this is definitely a movie where I feel like the character work, it's still there. Like, the character work they do is still good. I don't want to make it sound like it's overly simplistic or boring or bad or anything like that, because it's not. These characters do have genuine arcs, and it does all tie together towards the end. But you kind of run the same issue with Dunkirk. I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it, because again, it's not bad. It's not badly done in any way, shape, or form. It's done pretty well. It just I guess a more personal preference for me is I like dialogue more. So like I just didn't really feel like I just didn't connect these characters for whatever reason. I don't really know why. That being said, you still root for them. You still want them to succeed. There is one character I did connect with towards the end that I can't talk about without going into spoilers, but I will say he is played by a Game of Thrones alumni, and it's nice to see a Game of Thrones alumni actually being a good movie for a change, because I don't know if you've noticed, but there's this weird pattern of Game of Thrones alumni who are just, for some reason, are just in the worst goddamn movies. So that's nice. It's nice to see him do something nice. Again, very much like Dunkirk, this story is largely told through visuals. It's very much relies on visual storytelling, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's why I didn't connect with me as much as I like, because it feels like the character of itself is the battleground. It feels like the main character kind of is this war-torn country and the many horrors they have to cross through to see it. And that's made it pretty much, like, that's pretty established right off the bat from the minute the movie begins, with these two characters staying by a tree asleep, and then they get woken up, and as they're walking and the camera's following them in front of them, the scenery kind of widens. You get an idea of like this camp they're in, and then basically the world is told. The environment is very much a part of the story. It is very much character in its own right. I hope I'm making sense. I'm doing that thing where I kind of ramble a bit again, but yeah. And I guess for me personally, and the visuals are like gorgeous and gorgeously haunting, and expertly done, and done in a way that conveys not only the environment they're in and how grotesque and how ugly and how disgusting it is, but also it also very carefully communicates the characters' feelings towards these things in that time. That being said, I think maybe that's, again, why this movie didn't work for me 100% as much as it, and again, it's not the movie's fault, just a personal preference thing, is the fact that in doing so, I never felt like I got like a full kind of view of these characters beyond the present moment, which again is not bad. It's just not what I go for a movie. I'm not making sense. I apologize. I think again, very much like Dunkirk. Dunkirk had a great visual style. It had a great intensity. It had a great building, tension, and atmosphere and music, and you always felt like it was coming down to something, but you never really got to know anyone there. And while you do definitely get to know these characters to an extent, the movie is definitely going at a fast, deliberate clip. And I'm not saying like there's no character development at all, but just not enough for me to get really invested in these two. Okay, that's as clear as I can describe it. I apologize if it wasn't clear before. That having been said, you do have to admire a film that really does just have a clear, dedicated focus. Every line of dialogue, every moment on screen, every character in there, every movement the actors make feels very deliberate, feels very calculated, feels very well rehearsed in a good way. And for a movie that's trying to do like a one-shot movie with a hectic war environment, you really have to be razor sharp about this. And this movie is, because this movie was not going to work if all the tools that went into it weren't on point. And they are. And that's a big reason why this movie works. And that goes for the script as well. The script is very razor sharp. Right off the bat, every line of dialogue serves a purpose. There's no wasted time. There's no wasted space. There's no wasted moment in this film. Which again, I have a huge respect for. I just don't connect to it much on a personal level. Which is why, like, this will probably make my top 10 list, but it won't be up at the top. Like, just for example, easy example, at the beginning of the movie, again, this is in the trailer, I'm not giving anything away. Establishing shot, two main characters stand up, they start walking out, camera winds a bit, you see the encampment, you see all the soldiers, get an idea where you are, what the situation is. Okay, scene established. They keep walking, and they keep walking through the trenches, they establish more of what like the current situation is, what part of the war they're in, because this takes place in World War I, if you can get that from the title, 1917. And then all the way until they basically just establish everything that's going on, all the hell they're going through, all the grotesque things that they're only touching on the further they get into the trenches until they get to the general's office. In which case, the general basically looks in there and says, "Oh, played by, was it Colin Farrell? No, not Colin Farrell. Anyway, I'll think about it later. Colin Firth? Is it Colin Firth? It's gonna bug me. Hold on one second. I apologize. Colin. I was right, Colin Firth. Okay. Who basically just right off the bat says, this is the battalion over there. Your brother is in that battalion. If he's walking into a trap. If you do not get this letter to them, everyone's gonna die, including your brother. Okay. Motivation established. Stakes established. Okay, good. We are on the mission. And if a lot of the movie and a lot of the dialogue feels definitely in that vein. There are moments where the characters are allowed to breathe a little bit, and they show things about their family or they tell funny stories. And those scenes work well too, but again, this is also while there's never a moment where they stop moving, which isn't bad. But at the same time, it does take. I feel like it does take away from having these feel like fully realized characters, because the mission is the main mission, and the environment they go through to complete the mission is really the main character of the film. Now, again, none of that is bad and inherently bad by itself. It just makes it a different kind of movie that I personally connect with. And I feel like I'm really going out of my way to justify why I'm not, like, adoring this movie as many other people do. Yeah. So, is there anything else to really say? Okay, so yeah, like, visual storytelling is great. Like, everything this movie sets out to do, it succeeds in spades. Everything about this mechanically, everything about this visually is amazing. I guess it really just depends on how much you love war films or how much you want out of the writing of the film. Because while the writing is there, the writing is not really the focus. Most of the story and the character building is done through the environment, which is all done very, very well. And how much you enjoy that kind of visual storytelling and that kind of awe and wonder, or horror, I guess would be the more appropriate term here, that you get from that. Is gonna really speak to how much you enjoy this film. For my part, I thought it was pretty good. I was genuinely entertained. It succeeded in everything it needed to be, everything it wanted to be, and it is definitely, while not my personal favorite of the year, still one of the best and easily one of the best made by far. Like, that I cannot deny. No matter how I feel this movie, you cannot deny how exceptionally well made it is, how carefully it is crafted, how carefully it is executed. And you can see that in every frame of this movie, just how much effort went into it, and you just have to admire that. So yeah, it's a really, really good movie. Not my favorite, but I thought it was really, really good. And I highly recommend you go see it, especially if you like war films. This is definitely the best war film I feel like I've seen since Dunkirk. In fact, I would say, like, if you like Dunkirk, you're gonna love this movie. Although, honestly, I felt like Dunkirk was a bit more intense for me personally. I felt this movie still, again, and that was a few years ago, too, so maybe it's just because I've seen a lot more war movies since then, that maybe I'm just desensitized to it. But either way, Marvel of a creation from every technical angle. The acting is great all around. Go see it. It's a really good movie. So, I hope I didn't disappoint anyone that I wasn't like, oh my god, this is the movie, the best thing ever. But again, like, there is no part about it that's really bad. It just depends on personal taste. So I'm going to go over some trailers really quick. Just trailers we haven't already discussed. One by Christopher Nolan. Just honestly for the sake of padding out this video's runtime. The first trailer I got was for a movie called Antebellum, which I have to look that up because I am trying really hard to remember which one that is. And I am blanking on what it is. Oh, right, that's the one where it's about, like, some woman who is apparently being chased by time or something. I don't know. I don't really know. Oh, yeah, it's 2002, like, mystery thriller. A successful Arthur finds himself in a horrifying reality. Must figure the mystery out before it's too late. So it sounds like a Stephen King book. I don't think it is, but it sounds like a Stephen King book. The trailer looked interesting. I don't really know what to make of it, really. It's one of those, ooh, what does it mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? Kind of high-concept sci-fi films. So, we'll see how that one goes, but it looks interesting enough from what I saw. No Time to Die, which is the new James Bond film, and Daniel Craig's maybe last Bond film. I'm one of those people that's been kind of forgiving of the lesser Daniel Craig Bond movies. Like, I didn't hate Quantum of Solace. I mean, I still love Casino Royale and Skyfall like everyone else does, but I never hated Quantum of Solace, and I also didn't hate Spectre. I thought both were perfectly fine. Not great, but I thought they were fine. Quantum of Solace just happens to be like the most forgettable of the bunch, really. But this one, I'm definitely intrigued by it. I like the actor playing the villain. I think he's a really good actor. I've heard the rumors he's playing Dr. No. I'm kind of hoping they're not true. But we'll see. I don't know. But, hopefully it'll get Bond back on track a little bit. I know they're talking about the woman who's in this movie taking over the 007 title, which I'm totally down for. Like why not, right? But I don't know how well the actress herself is going to be able to play the role. I feel like from the trailer, they might be leaning too hard into the... And this, again, speaking from a white man, so take it as you will. Like the punch, look how tough and soulless I am type of strong, independent woman character, which is what you typically see when men writers want to double down on the strong, independent woman trope, but don't really know how to write women, so they make them like over the top tough to compensate. Again, white man talking, so please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm optimistic. I'm hoping it'll be good. So that's No Time to Die, and then we got the other one I haven't talked about 5,000 times is The Gentleman, which is the Guy Ritchie film that comes out end of this month. I'm actually looking forward to this one. I've been enjoying the trailers. I like Guy Ritchie's. I'm not talking about Aladdin. That one doesn't count. That was not a Guy Ritchie film. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. I mean, I'm like one of the few people that liked King Arthur in a ironic way. So I don't know. I like his style, and Matthew McConaughey looks like he's having a lot of fun, and so is Colin Farrell. So I'm looking forward to that. It looks pretty good. The Quiet Place Part 2. This is the first time I've gotten this trailer in theaters, and I'm not sure yet. I really like the first one. I thought the first one was really damn good. And he's clearly shown he can direct it. So he clearly apparently has a really good idea for this one. So I'm gonna wait to see what happens. I guess my thing is more like, okay, if you knew the weaknesses to the monsters and you managed to kill 2 of them, why couldn't you just lure the rest over and just stay where there's none of the monsters around anymore? Why did you need to leave? I don't know. I'm sure my question will be answered in the actual movie itself, so we'll see. But yeah, I really like the first one, so I'm curious what the second one will bring. And the last new trailer I got was for Tenet, which is the new Christopher Nolan movie, which apparently involves something about dead people or almost dying people that are saved and made into a Secret Service kind of thing. Yeah, and something involving time warps and fast forwarding and rewinding time, I don't know. It's a Christopher Nolan movie, so the trailer's gonna be really vague and obscure, and told in that Christopher Nolan hyper realistic way. That is always cool to watch. Say what you will about his movies, but they're always interesting to watch at the very least, whether you love them or hate them. So look forward to that, and that was the last trailer new trailer I got that I haven't talked about already. So 1917. Really good movie. Really recommend it. I apologize if I made absolutely no sense talking about it. So, but yeah, that's all I got, and that is the end for the review team season 7. Tune in later this week when I'm going to drag Howard to go see Like a Boss for the first episode of season 8. And then I'm going to try to collaborate when to do the best and worst list. So we'll have that out hopefully within a week at the very latest. But who knows? That depends whenever his schedule turns out to be, because, I I gotta figure out who's gonna be on it, what they're gonna talk about, how to schedule, like where to shoot. I gotta figure out all the logistics behind it. So I think it's probably gonna be Muha, because Muha saw the most movies this year with me. I'm gonna try to get Grant in there too, because I feel like it's tradition, and then Sarah too, because we try to get her on as many years as possible. So look forward to that. Otherwise, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all later. Bye bye. Oh god, I hope I didn't make it on camera.